My winter bicycle is a lot of things. It's my primary mode of green transportation. It's how I get reliable and cheap exercise. My winter bike is a good way to save money and stress. It's a conversation starter. It's a bit of nostalgia. It's a way to notice things and feel alive. My bike is also the needle on a record player. The way my bike moves along grooves of ice or along lanes of snow, and the way it makes a crackly sound when the tires cut into the snow and the ice. That precious, scratchy sound sounds like a needle moving across an old vinyl record, going around and around. My bike is a radio dial, too. Those nights as a boy in the basement of the dark house when I would go from station to station and watch the glowing dial move across the grid on the face of the set. That's what I remember as my bike glides across the shadows of the elm trees now on 102nd Avenue, and I sing a bit. My bike is a writing instrument, a giant pen maybe that leaves a flowing record on a sheet of clean white paper there on the left, or on the right a giant pencil maybe, not the writing end but the eraser end for the times I lose my train of thought and wipe out and it all gets a bit blurry for a bit. My winter bicycle is a movie camera, two spinning wheels that deliver a series of shots that I decide how to frame, how long to hold. As I track by, I notice light. I compose wide shots of the sky, medium shots of the tree branches, and tight shots of the characters who go by. I make independent short movies, winter bicycle shorts. But most of all, my winter bicycle is a giant can opener, like this long service can opener in our kitchen drawer. It has a crank that turns toothed gears that spin a serrated wheel that cuts through the lids of sealed containers. It's a wonderful little machine. That can opener is an overlooked wonderful little machine. Consider the recipe for pasta sauce. Among other ingredients, the basic recipe calls for a can of diced tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce, a can of tomato paste. There's no mention of getting the good stuff out. The can opener goes without saying. And if the pasta sauce works, it's the freshness of the ingredients or the decisions to add a splash of red wine or a secret ingredient, which is another splash of red wine, for its quiet service. The can opener is returned unceremoniously to the drawer next to the sad ladle and on top of the forgettable whisk. In this sense, the can opener shares the fate of apparatus in our lives. Somewhere along the line, I picked up the strange concept that machines are unnatural and artificial, that they corrupt, that they are different from art and nature, and that it is nature and art that are humanity's true blessings. There's no poem to the can opener, right? Unless every ride on a winter bicycle is a kind of ode to the can opener. Look at it this way. My winter bike has cranks that spin toothed sprockets that turn spiked tires that cut through and remove the lid that seals winter. Like the November day I pedaled across the Mackenzie Ravine Bridge and stopped to watch the moon like a baseball hit out of the park during a night game, it took my breath away. I watched my breath being taken away. Winter unsealed. Or the day I pedaled into the December dark of the McKinnon Ravine, it was winter 6 degrees Celsius. The dark gets bad press. Without the dark, how would we have astronomy? Without the dark, how would winter bicycle riders ever see a ravine path lined with diamonds and feel like they were riding through a constellation? Or the day in January I was cycling over the Grote Bridge. On the river ice were two bald eagles up from Minnesota, cooling their jets. One lifted off and soared over the automobile traffic. I found a path under the bridge and pedaled through the trees and got off my bike and watched the eagle. Winter unsealed. Or the day in February, it was winter 31 degrees in Banff as I pedaled towards Cascade Mountain. It was cold. It was exhilarating, though, to confirm that 3 layers of wool, a liner jacket, a windbreaker, wool gloves and side gloves, a toque, a balaclava, and goggles were the local ingredients for warmth. Or the day in February, we rode our bikes with thousands of others around Red Square in Moscow. People waved from the bridge decks. We waved back. They closed the streets for a giant bike parade. Closed the streets? I've never felt the streets to be more open. I knew how I wanted to try to live my life. Unsealed. That day in March, I rode to the corner store for groceries. Not nearly as exotic a ride as Moscow, not as cold as Banff, no diamonds in the dark, no eagles, no moon. Just a trip for fixings for dinner. An onion, some mushrooms, a can of tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, and tomato paste. The immortal Chekhov has a short story called The Man in a Case. It's the tale of the academic Belikov who closes himself off to life. No matter the weather, he shields himself from it. He's scandalized when he sees Varenka, the woman he intends to marry, ride by with her brother, both on bicycles. He ends the relationship right there. No big deal, though. A few pages later, Belikov is dead and buried and back in a case for good. Chekhov contrasts the professor's emotional shields to Varenka's openness to life, and Chekhov uses a machine, a bicycle, to make his point about being alive out there. For too many years, winter was a season closed off and sealed up. It was a season to be waited out, endured, or daydreamed or beach vacationed away from. We watched the geese take our affection for this place with them. The poets didn't help, the winter of our discontent and all of that. What did help was finding a way to stop dissing the content. An instrument, mundane maybe for some, that has cranks that spin toothed sprockets, that turn spiked tires, that cut through and remove the lid that seals winter. It's an unforgettable can opener on wheels.